Somerset Mom from Books and You said, to acquire the habit of reading is to construct for yourself a refuge from almost all the miseries of life.
I love that.
Isn't that so?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes. If anything's miserable, I'm going to the refuge of my books. Mm-hmm. Hi, book friends. Welcome to Between the Bookends, your friendly neighborhood podcast where we celebrate reading and share some of the great books we have read recently. I'm Mindy from Bookends, here with Scott Richards, and today we have a special guest, Emily, one of our hometown librarians from the North Myrtle Beach Library. Welcome, Emily.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
It's always so fun to chat with friends that share our passion for reading and books and connecting readers with the right books. And so we are so excited that you are here. We always start off asking our book friends what they're reading right now. Emily, what are you reading?
Right now, I'm reading Finding Dorothy by Elizabeth Letts.
Yes.
Have you read
Yes.
it? Oh my gosh.
Historical
Amazing.
fiction.
Yes.
I'm
I'm a very big Wizard of Oz fan, clearly.
excellent.
So, great.
I know everything about the Wizard of Oz.
Tell
Yeah.
tell us a little thing.
I'm very early in it. I'm in the second chapter now.
It's a couple years back.
A couple years back. It's not super new. Takes place when they are filming The Wizard of Oz at MGM. So if you like old Hollywood stories, that's a good choice. But it is about Maud Baum, Frank L. Baum's wife, and it is about her journey as they are making the movie. And like I said, I'm very early in it, so I'm very curious to see where it goes.
Very cool. And I loved it because you can be a Wizard of Oz fan, but you don't have to
Yeah.
be. There's enough of a lot of other things that just made it so interesting.
The era.
Yeah.
The era.
It works. The movie works out.
Yeah, the movie kind of works out.
Thank goodness.
What about
It's-
you? What are you in the middle of?
What am I in the middle of? I'm reading another Sherlock Holmes
I could have
from
guessed.
Anthony Horowitz, and it's great. But this one's going off in a weird direction. So next time I will explain that because
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm halfway through, but I'm not sure. I love the book.
yeah.
I love the style and the era, 1890s.
but he's gone rogue with it, maybe.
No, it's just I'm not sure what's happening. Which
that's
is the
good. Yeah,
best
that's
of
right.
things.
Yeah.
And you?
I am in the middle of
saw
Mona's
that.
Eyes by Thomas Schlesser, and it's I don't even have the words. It's fascinating. It's definitely fiction, but there's so much history and fact and beauty in it. The premise is there is like this young girl, about 12, and she is losing her eyesight, and she has about a year before her eyesight will be gone. And so her grandfather has decided, they live in Paris, and has decided, well, this is what we're going to do. Once a week, they go to the Louvre and they study one painting. And each chapter in here is one of the 52 weeks. And it is so touching because of the relationship, so amazing because of the art history, and so fascinating because of the little lessons he draws from each, painting to give to the
And what's
granddaughter.
the era? When's it set?
Now, I mean, it's not
contemporary.
it's not really. I mean, I'm not sure they have cell phones, so I still think that's contemporary.
No, yeah. It's not.
It's not historical, but and I'm not very far into it, but I'm just the whole premise just sounds beautiful to me, and I've loved it so far. The young girl is kind of cheeky and fun, so I just feel like it's going to have all of my things in there.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful book.
Yes, and and that's the other thing is inside it has the pictures of all of the paintings. So when they're referencing blah blah blah
what
blah,
they're doing.
I get to look at it while they're looking at it. So I feel like I'm learning stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. It feels I'm very excited.
That's awesome.
Don't you love book lovers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nerds.
When
We can
people
say
get
it.
excited
It's okay.
about books.
Yes.
exactly. Books and bookstores.
All right. So we always ask our book friends by starting off and saying, what made you a reader? So Emily, think back. Why do you love it? What made you a reader? What's your backstory in becoming a book nerd?
Yeah. My mom was a very big book nerd. She will always talk about how my grandparents would catch her late at night reading in her room with a flashlight.
Yep.
So she tried to instill that upon all of her kids. It worked out pretty well for 2 of the 3. So I loved reading. I read so much before I went to school, like picture books and whatnot, and advanced pretty quickly to chapter books. And I remember being so excited in elementary school because I was the first kid in my class to be able to go to the chapter book section.
Dun, 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 dun. Yes.
And it was so exciting for me. And I read the entire Junie B. Jones series. And then it just unraveled from there. I got a library card. I still remember the first book I checked out from the library.
What was it?
Meet Samantha, the American Girl doll book. Yes.
Oh gosh, it is something about loving it, but then also there is that empowerment of that, the accomplishment and that I've read this series and I'm doing well with this, that kind of, I think, perpetuates it as well. Especially in the kid age. All right, another big tough question. What book would you recommend for the whole world? What is something that you've read and you're like, oh, this is something that all humans need to read?
Every time you ask that question, I go in my own mind.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so I know that's well, and I've picked a kid's book before. I mean, I feel like it just depends. It's something that when you put it down, you're like, wow, that was just so spot on for everything.
Honestly, I think I will go with a kid's book because I was reminiscing on this book recently because I finally bought a copy of it. Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite books as a kid, and I hadn't picked it up in years, and my boyfriend recently bought me a copy, and I was flipping through it, and I remember how it sparked my imagination and creativity when I was so little, and I'm a very creative person, and I attribute a lot of it to that book.
Oh, wow.
And
all
his books
are really great.
Giraffe and a Half,
Yes.
The Giving Tree.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
That is the first book that I laughed out loud.
Yes.
And I remember, I'm like, wow, what just happened? It just...
Those poems make you feel such strong emotions, and I remember that even at 6-7 years old when I first read it.
Yes.
And when I reread it recently, it was the same exact thing, and it's just...
Yeah.
I think everyone needs to read it.
Very true. I love that you reread it. We try to always have that in the store, but it's so popular that it goes. There was a full-on adult here the other day, and she's like, do you know this author, Shel? I was like, of course. And she's like, well, I've heard all about it. She bought every Shel Silverstein book we had. She's like, I don't know what this is.
For herself.
Yes, for herself.
Good.
And I was like, I love that. That's
It doesn't matter what age you are. It you can connect to it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. That is so true. And I think we forget about some of those really powerful kid, young adult, all those great
Well,
books.
that's when we learned to read, and that's when we sort of figured out why we love this.
Yes.
Where they take us.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even as basic as just you were figuring out emotions back then.
True.
So I think that's why a lot of those
Very
kids'
true.
books can hit home as an adult.
I think it's
that was their
phenomenal
first
when
experience with
the
it.
adult can write to that audience and
Rare
nail
individual that has that skill.
It's difficult.
it. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I love that one. Okay, so we also love just sharing great book suggestions. Anything that you have read recently that you love and think someone else should know about.
Yeah. I wrote down a couple of my recent reads. The first one being The Story She Left Behind by Patty Callahan Henry. Well, I picked it up because, read the little cover on it. I liked that it went back and forth between South Carolina and London because I've always been fascinated with Europe, London in particular, and England because I have roots there. And living in South Carolina, obviously, it's always cool to read about where you live. But
Beaufort, wasn't it?
it was Beaufort,
Right.
yep. Beaufort to London to the English countryside and a couple ties back to Massachusetts. I loved that it was set in the 1950s. I like historical fiction. I've always been fascinated by the 1950s and then old Hollywood and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was just really interesting for me, but I loved that it centered around two different mother-daughter relationships. I don't want to spoil too much of it.
Just give us a teaser. Okay, that's great.
I love the center around mother-daughter relationships. The main character, Clara, her mother goes missing. She was a famous children's author, which I found really interesting. The mother had wrote the book when she was very young. And then she developed her own secret language, which I found out was based on an actual author who had done that. I can't remember her name, but it was the same kind of situation. Child prodigy. She wrote a book, and then she ended up writing her own secret language. So Patty Callahan Henry drew some inspiration from a true story on that, which was really cool. Anyways, so the mother who had wrote the book goes missing. The daughter grows up. She has a child of her own who is sick. She has respiratory issues, and she's very protective of
right.
her.
Naturally, right.
Naturally very protective of her because of her health issues, but also because of what she went through with her mother. She wants to maintain a strong relationship with her. And then out of the blue, she gets a random letter about her mother and the missing papers that decode her language. So that brings her over to London, and I won't go into too much.
That sets it off. Yeah.
It sets it off very well, and there were so many points towards the end of the book where all of the dots just connected perfectly.
It's masterful when the storyteller can do that.
My jaw was dropping. And that doesn't
great.
often happen. I'm a very reactive person, but when I'm reading, I can kind of keep it contained. But out loud, I was like, oh my gosh. And
It's working. It's all coming together.
right. And it wasn't like a jaw-dropping, like, plot twist type thing. It was just, it's all working out. And it made my heart so happy. It was such a lovely book. I've recommended it to so many people since I finished it.
Good.
And also, there's just, if you like classic children's literature, there's ties of that in. It talks about Beatrix Potter a little bit.
Yes.
And it just...
All right, that one has to go. That has to bump up. It
made me
been
very
on the
happy.
list, and now, that's excellent.
It was a nice, lovely little read.
lovely book. I love it.
Patty Callahan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Book number 26 this year.
You have one that you have read recently you want to tell us about?
Several.
Well, of course.
We talked about Wayward,
Yes.
and you did read that.
Yes.
Yes, you did. So I read Wayward by Amelia Hart, and it's set in three eras: 1600s, 1940s, World War II, and then in the 1990s. There are three women. They're connected. There is maybe witchcraft,
Maybe.
or women that are much more attuned to nature. So it's
Same thing.
Same thing in many ways. I don't think they're ever called officially. Well, no, obviously the woman in the 1600s was labeled a witch, and there are some horrible men, bad men.
Yeah.
And very ultimately strong women. Great story, great connection between the three eras. I love that book, Amelia Hart.
Let me ask you a question. It is a trend now to have a lot of bad men in books. And as a man, does that bother you?
I hope not, because the men in these books are really bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I worry is the right word, but I think some of this is pretty darn accurate.
Yeah.
Especially in historical fiction. You know, a wife of a horrible man in the 1940s doesn't know that he's a horrible man necessarily, and he thinks he's just a great...
Just doing the regular.
Yeah. And I think there are bad men. They exist. And I think it's wrong to just say, well, we always have to have them on a white horse. Some of it, I do know, some of it, especially in some of these books, we're just using them as a plot device because bad things happen. But it never feels untrue to me. And sadly, I think we all know some men that perhaps don't get it right.
For sure. I'm a little wondering if it's where are the. I know there are good men. And so why? They're not as interesting in a book.
Well, I think
In romance novels.
Yes, that's true.
But that's about it.
I think it depends on the writer, and I think often the women that are writing these books are demonstrating the strength of women as opposed to the weakness of men, although the weakness of men has to be there.
Sorry, that was a little side note. I feel like that
it is happening a lot.
Yeah. And like you
does.
said, it is absolutely the truth. I just don't want it to be overdone.
No, but would it have been unusual in an era where there were a lot of bad women? I mean, that's happened in a lot of literature. You know, the women maybe aren't so bright or so strong or.
Well, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, no, I don't either. And again, maybe we're drawn to these books because it's maybe putting things in balance.
That's true. That's true. Just wondering. I just finished The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. That was our
your book club.
Our book club book, and it was a very moving, a little bit magical story. It's got second chances, power of connection, and it is about a retired teacher, Grace. She inherits a mysterious cottage on a Mediterranean island, which sounds fabulous. She's 72 and she's like, well, what in the world? But she's like, let me go check this out. And she's drawn into this world of secrets. There's a little bit of mystery. But she does a lot of self-discovery because she's been 72 years of kind of some unhappy things. And she's got a lot to kind of work through. And despite being 72, you can really discover yourself at any age. And I really liked the book. But then after book club, I really liked the book. And so I love it when one of those books happens that, you know, once you discuss it with other people, you're like, wow, it's so much more in depth and I hadn't thought of it this way. And hearing their thoughts and opinions just made it even more lovely and beautiful. So I would recommend it, but I can highly recommend it because I see so much there. And I think that's obviously why I like talking about books so much.
And the value of a book club.
Yes, exactly. So The Life Impossible, it was really good.
Do you have another? I do.
You can go first. Let me think on which one I want to mention.
I found a book that was recently published from, the original was written in 2022 or 23 in Italy. And so the translation is new. The translation of this book, and it's called The Feeling of Iron. And I'm hoping I'm saying this right, but Giammi Longhi,
Sure.
Italian writer, and it reads more like a thriller, but it is historical fiction.
Ooh.
And it is set in World War II and in 1982. There are so many stories of World War II.
Yes.
And so this is just one tiny little bit, and everything is there. The German officer who seems like maybe he's an okay guy, but he's not. And then the Jewish prisoners and the camps. And then, we go to 1982, and is there a Nazi living in Brazil? And who's going to go get him? It felt very, very authentic.
Yeah.
And I liked the book very, very much. And I think my thought was, this is a good book about the war and the Holocaust that touches on all of it, but would not be too much. Some of them
important.
are.
Yes.
I didn't feel as dramatically
devastated. Yes.
Right. You could easily be devastated. And this one is serious. And I highly recommend it.
That's
it's
good.
called The Feeling of Iron. And that is a reference to the main characters are sword
Fencing.
They're fencing. And that's not a huge theme, but it's there.
So I think sometimes when they have those double timelines, that helps with the devastation. You know, when you can come back to 82 and have a reprieve a little bit from...
And he's very good about that.
Yeah.
It's like something is horrible and it's happening, and then we're back in 1982 and we're in Los Angeles. And yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. That might be
good.
That might be why.
Yeah. A nice little lighthearted read I had recently, The Wingman by Stephanie Archer. It's a little romance novel.
Nice.
It is part of the Vancouver Storm series. So if you like hockey romances, that will be up your alley. It's a nice little friends to lovers. Read it, I think, in a weekend. It was very quick, but it was a nice little story.
That is awesome. Tell me, it is the hockey romance is like...
It's a thing. It's a thing.
Oh,
it is a thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Hockey players, and they have a...
Yes.
They have romances. Yes. Typically the stories are from the female point of view, but they'll go back and forth within the narration, but they are more female-centered, as most romance novels are.
Huh. You sell a lot of romance.
We do.
Yeah, it's very popular. I don't read it, but
is.
I realize it's very popular.
Yes.
I don't know exactly what the draw is with hockey romances.
Oh, I have a theory. I think the first one came out and it was done really well, and then you just open the floodgates.
Yeah,
like when
Icebreaker.
one is done well, then you're like, we're on to this. And, and more follow.
Well, I saw the fancy little Icebreaker
Yes.
cover, and I was like, okay, so she's got romance readers. I can talk about this.
For sure.
But that one, definitely opened up the floodgates within the past couple years. I think just something about, the jock.
Oh, for sure. And it hasn't been done before, so it's a fresh, a fresh take.
We've had the cowboy romances.
Yes.
We've had the
Football's
Prince.
pretty standard.
There's some football,
Yeah.
but hockey was an untapped market. And I grew up in the North. I love hockey. So that was very interesting to me. I was like, oh, my favorite sport in a romance book.
That's funny. And I think everything comes back to Frederick Bachman, so I think it actually has something to do with Beartown, because that was about hockey too. But that's just my thing. So I read a really good thriller.
Okay.
Suspense. It's called The Break-In by Catherine Faulkner. I've read her a couple times and have loved it. And this one, I think she really did such a good job with it. Again, it's just a domestic suspense story. Alice is the main character, and she kills an intruder in self-defense. And, like there were children around, it seemed like a must do. I mean, I understand we're not supposed to do that. But then afterwards, things get really weird. She starts getting strange messages. She's getting phone calls. Her husband's being weird. Even the other moms that were there being weird. And she's like, what is going on? And she starts to wonder, like, was this actually as random, this break-in, was this as random as I thought? And so then she's like, well, obviously I need to check into this. So she starts investigating and trying to find out who that intruder was and what his background is, and begins to realize that there's a lot more going on than she thought. And so that was a good suspense, because it was different. It was one that probably hasn't been done. And I think Faulkner does a really good job of building a good story and a thriller. It's not just the thriller that but she's got a whole story we've woven around that. So that's good. Yeah.
Just one quick one.
Sure.
I like my nonfiction. Belle Starr. Do you know the name?
No. It sounds very familiar.
She was late 1800s Belle Starr, the outlaw.
Okay.
Well,
then I like her already.
Right.
Michael Wallace. Well, she's a very, very strong woman. The book is about her, but I found it far more interesting because it's all about the era. Outlaws and murders and horse thieving and bank robberies and train robberies. And Belle Starr has several marriages and kids, and they're all getting caught up. And much of this book is she wasn't as bad as legend has it. She was a very strong, forceful woman. But the era was captured perfectly in terms of relations with Indians, the sheriff that used to be the crook, the crook that used to be a good guy. It's really good. Belle Starr.
Awesome. Excellent. That sounds great. What a great list of suggestions. I have a lot to add to my to-be-read list. It's getting longer and longer.
Of course.
Yes. Thank you so much, Emily, for joining us today to celebrate our community and encourage our literary life. Thank you, Scott, for my reading buddy, for sharing in my book nerdiness, and for always helping us get this out to our listeners. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Between the Bookends. Happy reading.
Yay!